Hey there, this is Jazzman. Welcome to another devlog on Ortunia Mysteries. Where did everybody go? Today we're going to look at an updated inventory system I just created. So instead of the player having the object out in front of them and dropping the object where it is, we can now pick up the object, it looks like we're holding it, and with the beacon I created, place the object where we want it. But before we do that, we're going to look at a lighting effect I discovered by accident in Chapter 5, The Conclusion, and we'll take a quick look at each of the levels. Now that all of the puzzles are complete in each of the level, we can go through, get a sense of how the level is going to be, and get a little bit of the story. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. In our last level, Chapter 5, we have this long hallway, and down the middle of it, as you can see, underneath this grate, there are a number of particle systems. These systems go all the way down the hall. If we look a little closer, these particle systems are like this. The first one is kind of a whitish one that shoots upwards, and we've got a greenish one that kind of disperses itself along the floor, and lastly a red one that also shoots up. Now, when we have these three particle systems and then repeat it all the way down, we get this unique lighting effect. And here's the result. As you can see, when all of these particle systems align, we get this fantastic shining light down the hallway. Purely by accident, but I like the effect. I'm going to keep it in the game. As mentioned in the intro, we have all 5 levels complete with puzzles. I'm now on a polishing phase and a story phase, so there's still a lot of work to do, but I'm going to introduce each of the chapters in this devlog. Chapter 1 is called The Inn. It's where we start our game. And you're supposed to meet your friend Joran here, but as you can see, we don't have any people here. Hence, where did everybody go? There's a letter here right on the table that we can pick up. We can read it, and that starts our adventure. We go through, solve puzzles in the inn based on clues, basically trying to follow Joran and his companions, the 2 warlocks of Ortunia. Chapter 2 is called The Maze. And we get to it after solving the puzzles in Chapter 1 and escaping underneath the inn. We start off with some spiral stairs down to a level. We start getting some clues as to what's actually going on with these warlocks, with our friend Joran. There's another letter at the end of this hall left by Joran, and as we can see right off the bat, some skulls, a sword, and some other items that might be useful in the puzzle in this room. As you progress through this level, you'll get bits and pieces of information and story. You'll get a bit of explanation about the warlocks, why Joran is with them, and you'll get the suspicion that you really shouldn't be here, that this isn't a space intended for the warlocks only. However, having been requested to chase after them and help them, you've got to work your way through, get through the puzzles, and find your way to the exit. Once you get to the exit, you'll get through to the Catacombs. In our Chapter 3, entitled The Catacombs, we are deep underneath the Cathedral in Ortunia. This chapter has many rooms. Each room has puzzles that need to be solved to get through to the next room. There are 3 secret rooms. Each can be discovered. One in particular is necessary, in that it has a message from our friend Joran, a rather urgent and desperate message, saying not only are they being chased, but they are in trouble. We need to get through the rooms in this level in order to get through to the stairway up to the cathedral and our Chapter 4. As we enter Chapter 4 of the cathedral, we begin once again well below the main part of the cathedral. We're starting to see signs of struggle. Objects thrown around on the ground. But we are also starting to see stairways up that allow us to eventually get up to where our friends are. And after having gone through our lower levels of the cathedral, we eventually get up to the main area. We'll see once we turn around here that there are still signs of struggle, so we know we're on the right path. There are a number of puzzles to solve in this area, which will eventually get us into our back offices area, which right now, as you can see, is blocked off. Once we get into this area, there's a number of puzzles again that get us into our final chapter called The Conclusion. In the Chapter 5, called The Conclusion, we are once again descending in the Cathedral. We just went through the main area, in through the offices, and we've got a staircase down and another one here. That brings us to a long hallway underneath the main area of the Cathedral. This is where we had our previous update just a few minutes ago with the lighting effect here. And once we get through to the end of this long hallway, we'll see once again that our way is blocked by fences. Solving the puzzle in this hallway and getting through the fence will get us to the tower of the cathedral. And through this door that we now can see will lead to a staircase that eventually leads up 5 levels of tower. Each level of the tower is a puzzle that's mimicking a previous level's puzzle, and getting to the 5th level is our resolution and conclusion to the story and the game. Let's look at the inventory system now. Prior to the change I'm about to show you, this is how my player would pick up objects. We have the player, and underneath a head object, which holds the camera. We used to have a hand object. That hand object was kind of placed where I thought a hand would be on our player, and when we pick something up, we put the object in that hand object. It made it look like the object was floating out in front, however, and the interactions were hard. When trying to drop it, I would just drop it where it was, and it was hard to get something on top of a table or a shelf, whatever is needed for the puzzle. So let's look at the new change. Instead of using the hand object like I just showed, we're going to use the camera. When we pick something up, it's actually attached to the camera now, and the position is relatively static compared to the camera. It makes it look more like we're holding it. Even if I look up and I look down, it still looks a little bit believable. It looks like I'm holding it in my hand. You'll also notice that we've got this beacon here flashing. This shows where we're going to place it when we let it go, instead of just dropping it. I can now place it right on the bar if I want, where before to do that I would have had to jump. I can place it anywhere on the floor like that. I can put it on a table. We'll also notice that if we're not close enough, it'll look like we're going to try and get on the bar, but in fact drops it a little bit closer because that's as far as I can reach. It allows us to reach places that we haven't been able to before as well. For example, on top of this barrel. Of course, gravity makes it fall, but much better system, much better for the player. Playability is just way better. This change also helps when we are putting things into our inventory. For example, if I click up this candle, we're getting it into our inventory. If we click it, we get it back in our hand with our beacon. Same thing, the beacon allows us to place it where we want it. We can put it back on that table, we could go and put it on the floor in a specific spot, and we could put it on other objects much easier than we were before. For example, like that. Overall, this change is way better for the player. The player is able to pick things up. It's more natural walking with the object than it was, and being able to place the object exactly where we want it, as opposed to jumping or dropping where we had it in our hand. Very happy with this change. Thanks for joining me today. We looked at our updated inventory system. We looked at this cool lighting effect and how I found it by accident. And we took a spin through each of the 5 levels of Ortunia Mysteries, where did everybody go, and gave it a little description. The game is now on Steam, available to wishlist. The link is in the description. And for future devlogs and progress for the game, you can subscribe to the channel here. Thank you so much. We'll chat soon.